Strategy Mob Podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of Strategy Mob. Today, I have two very special guests, both of them in the front line of our industry. Ryan, he's a sales professional at Oakville Honda. Harris is an F&I manager over at Frost Chevrolet. Guys, both of you, thank you for taking the time to jam with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for your time, too.
Thanks for having us.
This is going to be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. I think, though, before we kind of kick off our episode today, let's start off with a couple origin stories so people kind of have some context. How did you guys get started in the industry? Ryan, I'll start with you.
It's funny, actually, by fluke. My dad was selling his business, and I was in the customer service industry. He owned a gas station, and my dad's good friend, who's in the automotive industry, said, "Hey, why don't I interview the guy?" And the rest is history. 3.5 years later.
That's good.
You know what? That's how I think a lot of us actually get into this industry. I mean, I don't think anybody actually does it intentionally. Very seldomly have I ever found someone that said, yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go sell cars for a living. You know, I find a majority of us kind of fell into it. And I actually fell into it the exact same way. Or not, it's similar to that, where it's just kind of like a friend of a friend. They're like, hey, you like selling stuff, right? I'm like, yeah, I like selling stuff. You want to come sell cars? Okay. Like that's pretty much how it got started. Harris, for yourself, how did you get started in the industry?
Yeah, my story is, you can say, a bit similar. So I did my bachelor's in computer science from Brock University in St. Catharines. And I was back in Mississauga working at a computer store. So I was kind of, setting up new computers, selling them, and doing a little bit of that. So what happened is that store closed down. So I came back to, back. I had no job at that time. So then I got a job at a restaurant as a server. So after doing the bachelor's, I was not finding any job. I was working, waiting tables and cleaning washrooms and cleaning, floors at night. After about 5-6 months, one of my uncle, he's like, hey, you know what? There's an opportunity in sales, in car sales at a local Mazda dealership. You want to go try and give an interview? So I was like, anything better than this right now? Why not? Let's give it a try. So I went there and I met Ravi Menon. He's currently a part owner at the store. And Nasar Hamami, he's also was a used car manager there. So they interviewed me, and on this part they hired me. So that's how I got into automotive and started as a used car salesperson at that Mazda dealership. So then it's been about 12 years I've been in the industry. So it's every day is a new day.
Every day is a new day, and we're upon some new days right now. All three of us are here in Ontario, where they just opened up dealerships on the sales side to appointment only. I know there are other people listening to the podcast or watching the podcast from other parts of the country or even the world. And for us, we've literally been kind of in a mild shutdown kind of a mode, where other places haven't been like that. And we just got news that we're kind of able to sell again, which is great, but by appointment only. So here's what I'd like to start then with that said is kind of what's the current norm for both of you guys? Ryan, I'll start with you. What's the current norm look like for you right now?
So actually, I just got back to work Wednesday, May 6th. Customers, they're calling in sales calls, internet leads, and pretty much, just reconfirming that, the vehicles are being, sanitized and, we're being very professional and that we're providing a good service to them. And, just to make the customer experience that much better, because that's very important, especially, in this current times. And, it's just, we have to do what we have to do.
Yeah. I mean, right now, I think it's going to be a lot about what our processes are. It's almost kind of like, I feel like the customers care more about how they can engage with us than they care necessarily about our offers or our incentives at this point. The first question is like, what do I need to do? Where do I got to go? Do I need to wear a mask? Do I not need to wear a mask? Do I need to clean my hands? Do I need to call you in advance? I think there's a lot of customers out there that have that kind of question of like, how can they engage with us? Harris, for you, what is your current norm look like?
Yeah, so currently I'm just at home. So of course, waiting for things to settle in, and of course, as the sales go increase, then definitely we'll be back at work. But currently it's a month of Ramadan, so I'm fasting. So it's not a bad thing, staying at home with family and being able to get through the Ramadan month. So right now, just spending time with family, with my son, playing basketball in the backyard, just going on bike rides with him, and just being together with family, I think is really good, and I would take all that moment and cherish that time. So that's the current norm.
And that's definitely a blessing right now. I mean,
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of bad stuff going on, and we're in the middle of a pandemic. It is what it is, But I mean, there is a bit of a silver lining, for a decent amount of us, we're able to spend that additional time with our family, which we're not normally able to do. I mean, we're talking about the automotive industry here, people.
Yeah,
It is. There's a reason why
24 hours work.
That's right. There's a reason why we use the term bell to bell. Actually, do you guys use the word bell to bell? I mean, maybe it's me coming from the States, but like I've said that a couple times. People go, "What the hell does that mean?" And I'm like, it just literally means from open to close. That's
But
just
there's only opening bell, no closing bell.
there's no closing bell. Yeah. Well, you know what's funny? It's actually a good point that you say that, Harris, because I've been talking to a lot of salespeople right now, especially the ones that are dealing with the internet leads, and you're 100% right. Like, there's no closing bell. This morning I had a podcast with a salesperson who was like, I answered one at 3 a.m. last night.
Yeah,
because it's like, look, man, I get paid commission.
But that's the time when the consumer is online, right? They're
he set up an appointment
at 1 o'clock. They're checking out their cars, and then that's what they're gonna send the email. So you gotta be there to reply. That's what they're looking for.
100%. I mean, he responded to the guy at 3 a.m. last night. No, look, I'm not condoning people should be working at 3 a.m. in the morning, okay? I'm pretty sure this guy's just a night owl and he was up late. But he answered it, and the customer was so taken back by the fact that he actually answered it. Now, let's say this, though. He answered it not using a template.
Yeah.
Okay? Like,
natural.
That's a big deal. It wasn't just some, just copy and paste template. It was like, hey, it's John. I see you're up late too. I'm up late too. That's a cool car. If here's the answer to your question. If you like more information, hit me back. And they actually went back and forth, and actually turned into a text message conversation at like 4 a.m. in the morning. But hey, the guy's coming in tomorrow for a test drive. So it's like, hey, that worked out. But I think that's the current norm for a lot of people. Is that it's that bell doesn't necessarily ring. There's a lot of people that are on all the time. I digress. Apologize. But what I'd like to do, though, is kind of talk about, guys, is kind of what that new norm is going to look like, because I think it's going to look different for everybody. Ryan, I think the new norm is going to look different for you. Harris, I think for you in the F&I department, it's going to look different from you. But I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on how you kind of see that new norm looking out. Ryan, I'll start with you. How do you kind of see your new norm kind of playing out over the next few months?
I think, video walkarounds will be bigger than ever. Social media, promoting yourself online, building your brand, to show the customer you can be trusted, and, still following obviously the process, but taking it to the next level for the customer and knowing what the customer really wants, and, tweaking the process necessary.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of process. You were telling me about a test drive you took the other day. Can you share that story with me again?
Yeah, so I actually sold the car today. So my first sale back. Great people. So what it was is I brought the car up. I had the car seats wrapped, steering wheel wrapped, sanitized. Lifted the hood up to show the engine. Let them open the door themselves. Kept my social distancing, and they had masks on, and so did I, right? Because again, we want to keep safety in mind, right? So I wanted them to feel comfortable, have a nice, striking up a conversation, having a few laughs, because people at the end of the day, we need that human interaction. I think that's one thing that's been missing in this, pandemic is human interaction, and people can't wait to see their friends back at work and sell cars, because that's what it's all about. It's sell cars and have fun and meet new people.
You know, isn't that crazy to think? Would you guys have ever thought that at some point in time you guys would have to spend, you know, like a good 20, 30 minutes preparing a vehicle, sanitizing a vehicle before a customer ever showed up to the dealership? I mean, I think on one side, I actually think it's kind of cool because it is going to kind of increase that level of experience, because you can't just pull up to a dealership anymore and say, all right, I want to go check out that car. Like, you know, it's like, you know, the customer does have to kind of think in advance. The salesperson needs to be kind of prepared in advance. You know, that the person that's coming in at 1:30 to test drive that Lexus, you know, that car is going to have to be pulled out. It's going to have to be sanitized. It's going to have to be parked up front. Like, it just feels like it's going to almost like organically create kind of a better experience, you know, for everybody, because it's forcing both the customer to be more prepared for their shopping experience, and it's forcing us, the salesperson, to also be more prepared for that customer experience. Hey, Harris, for you, F&I think there's going to be a lot of changes in the F&I department. I'd like to hear your thoughts, though, how you see the new norm play out for you.
Yeah, no, definitely. You're absolutely right. There is going to be a big, you can say, paradigm shift. But see, I like to put myself in a position where I'm kind of ahead of the curve, right? I don't want to be, you know, behind the curve or in the middle of it. So I look at my 12 years of experience. So when I started car sales, you know, there was like so much traffic of, you know, physically people coming in the showroom. There would be 16 salespeople, and all the time we would be busy with customers, and there would be people waiting for, you know, talk to a client, to a salesperson. But then what happened is, after about 3-4 years of that, the traffic slowly started going on the phones and on the internet leads and the phone calls. So now we had more phone calls and more internet leads, and then we were working towards, you know, getting that client come to the showroom and setting an appointment. Then slowly, now instead of customers taking 6-7 visits, they were just taking one visit and just buying the car if they were happy with the service, doing the reviews and all that. So from me personally, from about, you can say about 3-4 years before from today, I've been doing a lot of videos. So I created my own YouTube channel, and on that I've been making videos of, you know, walk around for cars. So while I was at my, you know, previous job, which was in Markham, I was a sales manager plus finance manager at a used car dealership. So we had any car come in, we would do, you know, get the car ready for the lot, and I would go and make a 2-minute or less video, and then I would have that video ready. So whenever I would get an internet lead, I would attach that video link on it. I would then also make about, say, 15 to 20 second personal video of me coming up and just saying thank you to the customer for, you know, sending the inquiry. That way I was putting my personal, you know, touch in there as well. So that I've been doing from last 3-4 years. And now recently, about, you can say, a year ago, in my F&I office, what I started doing is I started putting my phone and recording my turnovers. So what that did for me is two things. It first made me, you know, see my positives, where I was doing good, how I was transitioning to different products, and, you know, things which I was doing good at. And then I also found out things where I was, you know, when they say no, how my expressions were coming up, how I was, you know, how I was taking that, if my ears were getting red, or if my cheeks were getting red, you know, how I was handling the objections. So now that I started learning and you know, getting better at that by just making my own, you know, ton of videos and getting some feedback from our trainers in different insurance companies and all that. So that has prepared me to today's world. Now today, if a salesperson, Ryan, brings me a customer and says, you know what, I sold the car, they're not coming in, this is the, you know, deal, please call them and set up a finance application and, you know, go ahead. That's okay, because now I'm gonna make a phone call, get my introduction, just talk to them and let them know, you know, what to expect. Then I would not try to sell. Now would be, hey, can we set up a time where we can have a, you know, 30-minute video chat or a Facebook live discussion, so I can go over all your financing details and options you have available, which are your legal right to know. And that would be the time where I can be prepared, and I can send them, during that time, I can send them some data for them to read about it. And then they are a little bit more ready for me to, you know, discuss. And then when I ask them for that time, at least they'll give me full attention, which I need in the office. Then from there, of course, like, the process has to be same. I'm not gonna not talk about the current warranties and what benefits it has and how they can extend and what benefits it has. That has to stay the same. But now, instead of me being in front of them physically, we can, just like today we're talking to each other, we can do the same thing with the clients. And of course, it's going to be a learning curve. But as I said, like, I would like to be in ahead of the curve rather than be,
Well, and I think for a lot of salespeople out there, that's a fundamental change. Like, that's not necessarily something that they've always been accustomed to doing. Is having to communicate face to face is one thing, but having to communicate over a device is entirely different. And Harris, I'm confident that you're going to do quite a good job at this. I mean, you just tell even right now, what the way that you're able to communicate your passion and your commitment, over video, like that's, we have to understand that 80% of what we say doesn't actually come out in the words that we're saying, right? The body language is a huge part to what we do on a day-to-day basis. And, that's going to change. Like, we're not going to quite have all that body language. So it is going to be so important to really kind of understand our tonality and the speed of the words that we're using and the type of words that we're using and making eye contact when we're on those videos. And I think visual aids are going to play a big part of it. It's like they're not going to be in front of you right out of the gate. And I think there's going to be a fair amount of people that are going to not want to be in front of you kind of moving forward. So there's always going to be kind of this virtual F&I type process that's going to have to, play out. What do you use right now as far as visuals? Is it mainly paper-based, or do you use one of those more digital F&I type products?
I haven't used digital product. I have used it with a company called SimTech, but that's only for me to kind of prepare my presentation for the client. What we use is mainly menu kind of structure. So I have a specific menu which is prepared. So the way I can transition is that, as I said, like, once I make the connection with the customer initially, then during the time where I want to actually do a video turnover with them, I want to send them information ahead of time so they can kind of go over it a little bit, just like as a generic. Mm-hmm. And that way, when I discuss with them, then they will have all that menu in front of them already, and then we can go together. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. This is the benefits, this is the advantages, and this is how you can, increase that benefit for a longer time, or whatever that case may be. So definitely, but as to your point, I already have seen some of the digital, way of F&I setup. Like, for example, I believe Reynolds have started something like that, which they have like a automated and digital kind of setup of F&I, which I think is definitely gonna come up very soon. And now is the time for us to start using that to kind of get familiar and maybe use that in our F&I turnovers for sure.
Well, look, as an industry, we're going to have to figure out just how to be better at communication.
Correct.
Sorry, guys, just 1 second. Ryan, I lost your video there for a second. So that means the order, I have to switch order of you guys real quick, because Harris, I now have you listed as Ryan. Ryan, I have you listed as Harris.
Okay, I'm going to sell Hondas now.
Exactly.
Yeah,
look at
I'm
that.
over.
There we go. I'm going to fix that real fast. I did that so that I have a little spike in the audio, so I know exactly where to go back and find where the air was. I should have told you in advance, since before I just went and slapped my hands in the mic.
Maybe you're killing some bees or something.
Yeah, it's like just smacking stuff off my face. Okay, Ryan, now I want to talk a little bit more on the sell side process for you. How has your dealership kind of defined what that new sales process is going to be? How do they start online? How do they kind of work into the dealership? I'm curious for yourself, how's your dealership set that up?
Yep. So as of right now, in the current norm, we have a 5-step process. Number 1, customers can go online and check out our inventory. Number 2, call, text, email, DM on social media. Number 3, video virtual walkarounds. Number 4, finalized documentation through DocuSign. And number 5, a touchless delivery. We can deliver the car in our Dilawri trailer to their home, to their work. The vehicle will be sanitized, professionally detailed, for a very happy customer experience.
That is cool. Actually, I've seen that trailer drive around a few times. It's quite an impressive looking trailer, by the way. It is very cool. Hey guys, I think, we were talking a little bit about this before we jumped on camera. Like, the industry is not really going to go back to normal. Like, there's going to be kind of a new version of that, which is going to change the way that we execute F&I. It's going to change the way that we kind of execute sales. And I think that kind of fundamentally also changes the employee, like the salesperson, the F&I manager. It changes them. I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it. Like, I think there's a fair amount of salespeople that are not going to adapt to this new style. Like, they're not going to adapt, right? And let's when I say new style, maybe it's not necessarily new as much as it's more of an enhanced. It's like, this is what the customer expects. We're not making these changes because we want to make these changes. We're making these changes as the customer is forcing us to make these changes. This is how they expect. I mean, I pull up to my grocery store, and the seamless transaction that happens between me ordering online and pulling up and flipping the hatch open and them dropping stuff off is such a beautiful, frictionless process. And, when I order stuff on Amazon, I just got a notification, actually, while we were doing this, of a little picture of my front door saying my Amazon package has been delivered, right? Just this sheer amount of friction that has been removed from the retail industry in all these other spaces, except for automotive. Like, I think what it's true, right? Like, it's like, it's like, really, our sales process hasn't changed in 70 plus years. Like, our F&I process has not changed in the last 30 some odd years. Like, it's just really, there's nothing changed. Now we're being forced to change, which I think will also change the staff, the employee as well. And I want to kind of get your kind of thoughts on this. And Ryan, I'll start with you. Like, how do you see what the new salesperson is going to look like?
It's going to be a lot of video content online, social media. Branding yourself is going to be bigger than ever. It's already obviously massive, but TikTok, Instagram, Facebook Live. This is going to be the new norm. Anybody that doesn't adapt will be left behind, and that's a reality. You have to be able to brand yourself, because the customer wants to trust that salesperson. To purchase a vehicle. I'm
curious, Ryan, for yourself, like, how do you define brand yourself? Because I know that term's used a lot. I hear it in a lot of podcasts and a lot of webinars. And you know what you should do? You should brand yourself, with the finger pointing at the person. But what the hell does that mean? Like, what does it mean? So I'm curious from your perspective. Actually, I'll get both of you guys' perspective on this one. What does it mean to brand yourself, Ryan?
Well, you have an audience, right? A target audience that wants to see your content. And as you keep producing content, your audience is going to grow. Organically, you're going to get a bigger reach. So in order to, to gain more referrals and to build your brand, right? People want to know who you are. You can do social media. It can reach anybody in the whole world. That's the beauty of it. And it's free, not forever, but it's free now. So let's take the opportunity and take advantage of it.
Harris, for yourself, what does it mean to have a personal brand? What does that mean to you?
No, to Ryan's point, definitely what he mentioned does make sense, of course. But the main thing is, like, how are you unique from other people? What is that your unique characteristics, right? Like, it's like, when customers are looking for a luxury car, they're looking for a Cadillac, they're looking for a BMW or a Mercedes. But every car or every brand has a unique thing to it, right? So a client who's in love with a Cadillac, it doesn't care about a BMW. So that's what the client or the consumer is looking for, is the uniqueness in you. So, for example, if a client is scrolling on a dealership's Google reviews, and they see, okay, there's like 7 recent reviews, and there's one F&I manager, Javaid, every time is coming up. That's the brand you want to be. You want to be that person when So the idea is, as I mentioned earlier, before the door was here, people would come in and you could stand, smile, and then shake hands, and you can make connection and sell a car. But now that the traffic is coming, as you said, on your phone, you're ordering Amazon, you're ordering all those stuff. So when you order something, now they know what you're ordering. They're gonna start sending you more ads of that. So the consumer, when they're shopping online and they're looking for a car, or they're looking information on extended warranties. If you have a blog written on LinkedIn, or if you have a blog written on your website, and you wrote some benefits of current warranties and what's the benefit of extended warranty, maybe they'll land on that. And then maybe they'll read about you and they will see, okay, what this guy is saying makes sense. That's how you can be unique in the marketplace. You can be somebody who they can see as when they're doing their search, and you pop up as a person who's giving that information, which can help them make a better decision. That's the uniqueness you want to be able to provide in the marketplace, so that you become a brand. Like Harris, okay, Harris, you went there, I'll come to you there. Harris, you went there, I'll come to you there, because I want to deal with you. So that's where I think a new norm should be, that, hey, how I can be in front of the consumer when they're looking for the information which is relative to me, and I can provide that feedback, or that positive information which can lead them to purchase something or get in touch with me. So I think the uniqueness of you needs to come out, and that's how you can brand yourself.
Well, no, actually, Harris, I think you're spot on there, and Ryan, I think you are as well with the social side. Is that what it means to be a brand? It means what it means to do business with me as an individual, right? So it's like you want a brand experience, right? Everyone talks about an experience, and a good brand has an experience, right? We cannot rely on our dealership to define what the experience is, because I'll tell you right now, a good chunk of them won't do it. A good chunk of them rely on the fact that they're Honda, rely on the fact that they sell Toyota, or they're a Mazda store or a Volkswagen store. They rely so much on their manufacturer's brand that they don't overly do a great job of defining a brand for themselves. Now, luckily, both of you guys work for Dilawri, and you guys are a bit better at that. But think about it. Dilawri had to define what it means, not just to buy a Volkswagen or a Toyota or a Chevy or a Honda, but what does it mean to buy a product from Dilawri? Doesn't matter which product. What does it mean to that? And as salespeople or F&I managers, we have to do the exact same thing. It's like, all right, this is the experience you'll receive from Toyota. Here's the experience you're going to receive from my dealership. Here's the experience you're going to receive from me as an individual. So what does it mean to do business with me? And then that kind of becomes the brand as well. But Harris, you mentioned it earlier too. The brand is a little bit more, it goes even farther. It goes into passion. Like, what are you passionate about? For a lot of people out there in the industry, they do this for a job, and they're good at it. That doesn't necessarily mean that's what they're passionate about. That their brand doesn't have to be about that. I have a guy that I work with at a Chevy dealership up north, and he's a retired angler. Now, I had to go look up what an angler was, by the way, guys. I didn't even know that an angler was a professional fisherman. So that's what for a living, that's what he used to do. He actually used to fish professionally. Didn't even know that was a thing. I'm like, you get paid to fish? What the hell? That's awesome. That's awesome, right? But that's what he did for a very long time, and that was his passion. That's what got him jacked in the morning. He got excited about going out and being able to do that. And come to find out that, he sold trucks. And he was an okay salesperson, but honestly not the best, at this particular dealership, until we started tapping into his passion. And, we started creating content around his passion, but from the back of his Chevy pickup. And, now every week he posts a fishing tip from the back of his Chevy pickup. And he's created a brand around fishing. Now everybody knows what he does for a living, but he knows that his passion is fishing. So, he's created this audience, and I think he's got almost 8,000 people following him right now, but they're all local kind of in that area, because they all want to know where the best fishing spots are and the lures to use and all this stuff. Guys, again, I didn't even know this was a thing. I don't fish. You guys fish?
I love fishing.
Okay, fine. Then Ryan, you know exactly what I'm talking about then. Right? But so people are attracted to his brand because of that information. But now the loyalty of that brand has translated into actual sales. So people have connected with them and got to know them so well from a brand level that when they're in market for a car, they're like, that's where I want to buy a truck from. I want to buy a truck from Bob, because Bob has always given me great information of where I should go fishing and what lures I should use and techniques and so on and so forth. And I find that becomes the brand. But the brand is kind of with you. I was lucky enough that automotive has been in my blood for a long time, so it is my passion. The operations, the marketing is my passion. But I don't think, for people out there listening that are thinking of creating a personal brand, it doesn't have to be about what you do. It's about what you love. And but in that brand, you can always there's a space to tell people what you actually do for a living. Any thoughts on that, Ryan? Does that make sense to you?
It does, actually, because I just did a boxing video online on my social media feed.
That's right. I was going to ask you about that. I saw that.
Just to show that, from automotive, I have different interests and likes, and it makes me fun, right? And people relate to that. They relate to the boxing. They relate to
they
the
can
fishing.
connect to that, right? I mean, the other people that also are fans of boxing and appreciate that sport, and it's a physically demanding sport. I mean, they can connect with you at that level as well.
Right? And people buy from people they like. It's about building relationships. I always tell anybody, you can buy a Honda from anywhere. There's a Honda within a certain kilometer radius, but you buy from someone you like.
Exactly right. You buy from somebody that you like, and then that's where I find the salespeople and the F&I managers need to put content out there about. They can build a brand around their passion, not necessarily what they do. Harris, I haven't seen some of your videos. Now I'm going to go look some of your videos up. What kind of video content are you creating right now?
So mainly, I kind of look for small things within the industry. Like for example, I had made a video back was how to buy a car in Canada. So mainly I look for things like which are, you can say, they called long what you call them long keywords. So mainly trying to find something which a consumer is specifically looking for. So I try to make videos about that, or say video about how a Mazda 6 stereo system works, or how specific cars where to put your washer fluid. So things like that. So those are small little things which kind of are things which I sometimes also am looking for on the internet. For example, now being home, I started one project which is just my backyard deck. I'm sanding the whole deck. So before starting that, I was on YouTube finding how to sand your backyard deck so you do it properly. So now that someone has put a video about it, gives me the tips, and I get the job done paying myself, right? I don't have to hire anybody. So same kind of content is what I try to bring up, which is like how I can be useful in the marketplace for someone who might be looking for a specific answer, and I could be there to provide that. And that can lead to, okay, this guy is giving some fair information. Let's see who this is. So that's basically the idea of getting your name out there and getting the audience which trusts you on your information.
Well, and that's actually a great way to make content. I get that question asked a lot. Like, what kind of content should I make? And really, you have to first identify your audience. And I think, Ryan, you mentioned that earlier when we're talking about audience. You need to know your audience before you can make content, because you want to make content that's relevant for their audience. That's one way to make it. So it's like, if you know that you want to target maybe people that are just came to the country, so new arrivals, and target them with content that about questions that they would be asking. That would be a great, because then now you're reverse engineering it. It's like, okay, so if I was this person, what would I be looking up online? Harris, just like what you said, right? If I need to sand my deck, what information would I be looking for? I'd be looking for this information. You can create content that way, right? Identifying who that audience is. The other way, I think, also to develop out content is to also take a look at it from a perspective of education or entertainment. I think content has to fall into one of those two categories, right? Like, we don't want to just make it for the sake of making it. I hate to say it, guys, but I'm watching a lot of walk around videos right now. that a lot of salespeople are putting out walk around videos right now, and they're just making them for the sake of making the damn things. Like, there's not a hell of a lot of value in these. It's like they might as well just be reading off the brochure and just talking into the camera. I mean, they're pretty damn boring, you know? So it's like you have to educate or you entertain. If you can hit both, that's even better, but it's got to be one or the other. And if you are going to educate them, don't read the damn brochure. You know, like, find something that's interesting. If you find it interesting, guess what? The people that are searching for that product will also find it interesting. But, you know, just to show that it's got a steering wheel and 4 tires and cruise control, like, how many times in a walk around now I've seen where someone goes, and oh, look, it has cruise control. Is there a vehicle built anymore that doesn't have cruise control? Like, I'm just like, you know, it's like an alloy wheels. Like, really? That's a feature now? Like come on. But no, I'm with you. It's like we do need to kind of push the envelope to put out better content, and that's through the form of content, through education or entertainment. Guys, oh crap, look at the time. I know we're getting towards the tail end of our time today, but you know, before we go though, I would, for everyone out there that's watching and listening, and would love to connect with you guys and learn more about, you know, what you guys are doing and kind of follow along with your journey. What is the best way to do so? Harris, I'll start with you.
Yeah, best way would be LinkedIn or Instagram. So LinkedIn, you can just search my name with my full name, and my profile will come up there. On Instagram is my full name with the 84. So my Instagram handle. So I do a lot of posting on Instagram. I don't do much on LinkedIn, like videos and things like that. I do videos on YouTube.
We're going to have to get you to do LinkedIn, man. Come on.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
Yeah, no, I've done a lot of few blog posts on LinkedIn, but definitely I think I need to educate my connections on LinkedIn as well, I guess, as you said. So we'll do some more videos on LinkedIn for sure.
Well, I look forward to seeing those, Harris. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ryan, for yourself, what's the best way to connect with you, man?
Yeah, so you can reach me on Instagram at Ryan Nifo, one word. You can also reach me on LinkedIn, Ryan Nifo, also Facebook, and also TikTok, which I just started dabbling into. That is the future.
It is. And TikTok is the future. And you know what the funny thing? I think TikTok is great for dealerships. Like, I don't think people realize, but like, cars and music go hand in hand with each other. Like, how many music videos have you seen with cars in them? Like, a lot. Like, the automotive and the music industry are so side by side with each other. I think there are some people out there that are making some very fun, creative content, you know, using, you know, the cars, which have great imagery in the first place, and supporting it with just some fun music to go along with it. And it's super easy to do. So I'm with you on that one, Ryan, 100%. Hey guys, thanks again for taking the time to jam with me today. This has been a ton of fun.
Thank you so much for your time again.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Thanks.